Who should start the meeting? Mike, will you want to start the meeting?
Well, being a public meeting, I think you should call it to order, and we need an opening statement from legal, which I think they're prepared to do. So we'll begin with that.
Be glad to do that. This is the KPPA Budget Work Group Task Force. I'm not sure the official title, but here we are today to talk about the upcoming biannual budget. And to start off, we'll have the legal services. Mr. Goodrich, can you do that for us?
Yes, sir. For the record, I want to note that this is a special called meeting of the Ad Hoc Budget Committee of the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority. This meeting is being held at the Kentucky Public Pensions Authority offices located at 1260 Louisville Road, Frankfort, Kentucky, and by a video and telephonic conference, and is being broadcast to the public pursuant to Kentucky Revised Statutes, Section 61.826. I ask if you are speaking and are not appearing by video, please identify yourself before talking. In the event the video or audio broadcast is interrupted, we will attempt to reestablish a connection. If a connection cannot be established within 30 minutes, the meeting will be adjourned and rescheduled to another date.
Thank you. Ms. Rankin, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. O'Mara?
Here.
And Mr. Lane?
Here.
Thank you.
And do we have any public comment?
No, sir, no public comment.
All right. We'll begin with the approval of meeting minutes dated June 20th, 2024. Any amendments, discussions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
So I guess I am in the position to second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Those meeting minutes are approved. So now we'll start with the budget discussion with Mr. Lamb.
Perfect. Thank you for making the time to join this meeting and have this discussion. Is my screen sharing, Sherry?
Yes, it is.
Okay. This is basically just a working Excel document that's helping me prepare the biennium budget. As you know, the Commonwealth has a biannual budget process that begins in every odd year. The actual deadline for submission of the biennium budget for KPPA is October 1st, and statute requires that the KPPA board approve that budget prior to submission. So the purpose of this meeting is to have a discussion about the biennium budget. We can also discuss other budget topics that this group will be responsible for as well. But the main objective is the biennium budget. So after we go through what I have today, I think it might be prudent to discuss maybe one more meeting to come back to you with any questions you have today or any other clarifications that are needed, and present those at a follow-up meeting prior to the KPPA board meeting. So what I have here is basically the actual administrative expenses from 23 through 25 and all the categories in that admin budget that I think you're very familiar with. And I've begun to prepare the biennium budget amount for 27 and 28. If I scroll all the way down to the bottom, the KPPA board approved admin budget is $49,969,700 for 2026. So that's kind of where we begin, is what we have on the books right now as a budget and what that budget should be in the next 2 years. We get a lot of assistance from the Office of the State Budget Director, including what we call baseline amounts. So they look at our current positions, they look at our vacant positions. They have allowed us to budget for all of our current headcount in the baseline submission for the next biennium. The total headcount that we actually budgeted for full-time in 26 was 273, even though our cap is now at 284 full-time. So we give them salaries for those vacant positions. They look at current full-time position salaries, and they calculate the FICA, the retirement, the health insurance, et cetera. And so all of these blue items have been provided to me by the state budget director's office based on their current calculations of all 284 full-time positions. So I place them in the budget first. If we wanted to increase them or need to do some with our headcount, which we don't, we would have to do an additional budget request as part of our biennium submission. But we're going to stick with what the budget office has provided to us at this time. All of the other line items that are in yellow for today is discussion. White we can also discuss, but those are numbers that I've just kind of carried forward from the prior year. There are a few other orange items that I'm still waiting on some amounts from COT actually. And then there is a couple other blue items down below that we get provided to. So like this is the state insurance amount that's already been provided to us for the next 2 years. And I thought there was one other blue one, but as of right now, that's all I have there. The number that I came up with quickly in discussing with a few people is 52.1 million. That's 2.1 million higher than what our current budget is. That's a 4.26% increase. Most of that 2 million is actually coming from the increase in if I just look at the blue items that's been provided to us by the budget office, that is actually, oh, why didn't it add for me? Give me a second. That's weird. Okay. You just go there. 1.3, 1.4 million is just the increase in base salaries provided by the budget office out of that 2 million. The reason I have overtime and block 50 increased quite a bit in discussion with executives. And one thing we'll talk about in a minute as well is our capital project that we're working on. If that capital project comes to fruition, we're going to have probably quite a bit of overtime, especially in the IT area over the next several years related to that capital project. And so we've increased the overtime line item quite a bit. That also triggers what we call block 50. So a person who has so many hours of overtime, they can only have so much. And once they reach that limit, they have to get paid out in blocks of 50 hours of overtime. So we've increased that in anticipation of more overtime being earned by the individuals. So let me just table the capital project for a minute and we'll get into that in a moment. The other group that I've talked with already is legal. So again, this was the legal budget here. The actual for 25, 24, and 23 is presented there. Mr. Board has gone through these and given me some estimates. The one that I did not take out is we've had some recent discussions about discontinuing the use of outside legal hearing officers. That is why we brought on 2 internal hearing officers. And so this number is likely to go away and or decrease significantly in the next biennium. And so if we took those out, it would lower those amounts as well. So I'm going to just highlight them in yellow again because I think they are items that still need to be discussed. This is the CERS and the KRS legal counsel. So I haven't gotten updated numbers from Mr. Owens or Mr. Chilton yet, but I can do that. And then the actuarial services, I've kept the same for next year. I increased slightly for 28. That GRS has to go out to bid in, actually, Rebecca told me that yesterday.
It's not going to go out to bid for another few years.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I was mistaken when I told you originally. I thought it was coming quickly, and it's not. We have renewals available.
So renewals could still increase, but we've been utilizing GRS under our anticipated budget for the most part. So it would be interesting to see what happens this year with a full session in place and how much we spend with GRS. So that's an item that we'd like to discuss as well. The MMRO contract, we've been spending below the contract amount. for that. We continue to budget the contract amount, but that is going out to bid. And so that number may change. Right now, I've just decreased it based on historical amounts. And then in the miscellaneous contract line item, we do have $1 million in 26 currently budgeted. That is for the IT risk assessment that we're really close to finalizing. And that the purpose of that particular project is to evaluate all of our IT systems, including our pension administration system. And we anticipate this costing about 1.5 million. I didn't know how long it would go. So if we don't get that done in 26, some of those costs will carry to 27. So again, these are just discussion items that I want to go through. And then this is the Louisville office. This is the buildings that KPPA is housed in. I'm still waiting on some numbers from COT related to EMAR's usage. This is the rest of the IT budget. This has been a discussion for this budget group often. We did budget 3.9 million for 26. The amounts that are actually here or there for the last 3 years are presented there. I've increased this slightly for 27, and this is kind of just a plug number. I put the rest of the allowable money into this line item here. But again, the IT budget may go up quite a bit depending on some things, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And most of the other operating items I've left as they have been. We've been pretty good at managing those, staying under budget, with maybe the expectation of a small inflationary increase in 28. I've left most of the 27 alone and increased 28 just by 3% in most line items, giving me this 52 million. So that was a lot. Any questions on that before I explain a little bit about the capital project that is also going to be part of the biennium submission?
Sounds good. Go ahead.
All right, so we anticipate the IT assessment to come back and recommend that we replace our pension administration system. We know that because we are already aware that the language that system is built under is going to no longer be enhanced. And so there won't be as many upgrades. It will be more expensive to find programmers to do that. So internally, we also feel that pension administration system needs to be upgraded. We call that the START system. We've been using it for 20 years. We have programmers in-house as well as external that help maintain that system. Every time we have legislative changes or in-house changes that need to be implemented, it takes some programming changes to get that system to work. That system handles it's the heart of the KPPA system of KPPA. It tracks all the employers, all the employer contributions, all the members, their initial hire date, their participation date, their retirement calculations. It's basically everything that happens here. There's a lot of accounting that goes on in that system with accounts receivable and invoicing. The numbers that come out of that system go into our general ledger system. It handles insurance, calculations, all the options. So basically it's huge. And so to replace that, we've already submitted a capital plan to the Capital Planning Advisory Board, and we anticipate over the next 3 biennium that this system will take about 75 million to implement. And so we've allocated 50 million in the first biennium, 50 million in the second biennium, and 10 million in the third biennium to get to $75 million. Dominique, Rebecca, and I have presented that to the Capital Planning Advisory Board. We also went through a scoring mechanism through COT. The next steps for that is basically submitting it in the biennium budget and having it approved. We haven't had any negative feedback on it, but again, we don't really know if we're going to get any feedback, good or bad, and all of that system will come out of the restricted funds. So the implementation of that system would obviously require a vendor to come in and do that, but we have several internal people that would be involved in that, and that's why we've increased the overtime line item, is the anticipation of getting approval for that cap system to get put into place.
Can I add a couple things to that, Mike?
Please.
Um, Mike said replace the system. So we're going to evaluate. That's part of this technical assessment that's happening in fiscal 26 is going to help us evaluate what needs to be done. We know for sure that the underlying language on millions of lines of code has to be replaced. That's just it's a Microsoft product. Well, it's not it's all written in a Microsoft product that they are no longer evolving, which means eventually they will deprecate that. They're not doing that right now, but they are not going to keep moving that language forward. So we have to change the language. This is the opportunity. If you're going to look at that much detail, this is the opportunity to look at potential replacement. Is it better just to change the underlying language? Is it better to rip and replace? That's part of this evaluation that we'll come back to. There will be cost differences in all the options. We certainly are going to look at automation. We're going to look at efficiencies. During the START project, we looked at absolutely everything. I don't know that we'll look at absolutely everything. That's part of what this tech assessment will help us narrow. Where can we get the bang for the buck and the resources? So the overtime will not just be IT overtime. Business users will be a part of that as well. So during the START project, and what I anticipate to happen during this capital project will be we'll pull business users to work full-time on the project for a certain amount of time, which means to keep the wheels on the bus for everybody else, they're probably going to work some overtime to keep us from getting a ton of backlog, to keep up the services that are so important to our members, as a few people come and work on this project full time. And then as they go back, the overtime will reduce again back to that. So it'll be business side and IT side on the overtime. Thanks, Mike.
Great.
One clarification, you're saying 3 bienniums, so you're talking about 6 years. Am I understanding that correctly?
Correct. Yeah, our capital
Okay.
planning project required a 6-year plan, and we've anticipate that system would take that long to do if we go full rip and replace for sure.
And so this assessment is to do step 1. How do we go forward? Whether it's a third-party vendor or internal rewrite or something in between. Is that simplistic but kind of on target?
That's exactly on point. So
Okay.
the tech assessment is not part of the capital project. The tech
Right.
assessment helps us prep for the project.
Big project, huge.
Well, it's especially huge when you have to be running parallel for a while. Because obviously we have to keep the old system in place till we push the button on the new one completely.
Absolutely.
I would ask, probably don't need to, but I'm going to, that you talk to the employers about what they see as challenges or difficulties, or what kind of improvements they would love to see as far as being able to self-report to us all the information that we need.
Absolutely. Well, employer reporting is near and dear to my heart. That group reports through me. So I have a lot of big dreams for what we could be better, but absolutely, we'll talk to all the stakeholders as we progress through what needs to be done. But I appreciate the input. Always give us your input. Appreciate that.
Well, I just lived through a major implementation at a city that didn't take into consideration what was needed by the retirement system. And it took us about 2 years to get straightened out. It was our mistake that we didn't identify that and had to clean up afterwards. But it took a lot of KPPA time to sit with us and go through monthly all the individual mistakes and clean them up. And so it was a huge project for both KPPA as well as the city.
Yes, our employers are, you know, if we change the file, which none of those decisions are made, but if we end up saying we need to change the file, then employers require at least a 6-month run up for that. And we have a file certification program, but for sure they're an integral part of any changes that we would make. I agree with you.
Great. Is there any specific area or line item that you want some further information on? Do you want me to go gather further information on and discuss? I'm happy to go through these slowly or by category. But your input is valued and would be happy to elaborate on or discuss anything. If we want to go through the yellow line items, that may be a good place to start.
Well, Mike, I think you've touched on most of them. Is there more color or deeper questions that you want to highlight to us?
No, I mean the yellow ones are
Mike,
just. Go ahead.
I would suggest maybe the hearing officer one. That is kind of a policy decision change. There's been research done, the bottleneck. That might be the one I would focus on because it is policy.
Yeah, so in recent meetings, we're looking at phasing them out, maybe by the end of 26. So it's likely that 27 we may not have any hearing officers. And again, when we submit the biennium budget, it's really just a lump sum number, right? So what I'm going to submit to them is a bottom number of $52 million at a high level. If we ended up using hearing officers in 27 or 28 and had expenses there, that's not a big deal to the biennium budget. It would just come out of our total $50 million. So if we if we moved it to zero and we had expenses there, it's not the end of the world related. The biennium budget doesn't get down to the granular level of the line items. We do that to make sure that we stay within the 50 million and we have it allocated as we think we would. In the admin budget process every year, we would definitely go through those line items and put money in there. So if we needed to put something back in the legal hearing officer line item in 27 as part of the admin budget process, we could do that. So yeah, I'm happy to take it to zero if that's where Michael, which he is comfortable with, and Ryan, from a policy perspective, your input's important.
Yeah, and just to be clear, this is external hearing officers. So the two that we have internal, the production's actually higher than the contracts. So they're embedded in the blue above because they are KPPA employees.
Correct.
Well, I always like to budget conservatively. So if the decision hasn't been made, I'd leave it in. But if you think the decision is going to be made by October, then we can go forward with whatever direction we're headed.
Yeah, since we haven't notified them yet, and this is a transition plan, that's kind of why Mike approached it to leave it in. But that's a weird timing considering this budget submission, right? So that's why it was in. But that's the direction we're going. So that's conversations that are spurred in any budget discussion. So
Yeah.
Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, so that could be, I could bring that back at our next meeting, what we decided on hearing officers and what amount we put in there and bump it back that one. So I can table that one till our next meeting prior to the KPPA meeting. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Yeah, that little more clarity there would be helpful.
Perfect. And I can talk to John and Ed about their individual legal counsels. these are the actuals that have been there, so I can do that offline and bring that back as well. I think that's really based on what John and Ed anticipate utilizing over the next biennium.
Can you scroll down?
I will. Yep. So the next, this is contract amount from the auditing firm. So the new auditing firm, just around $200,000 is their, we do have them for 3 years, and that's the contract amount for them. So I don't anticipate having any additional auditing costs unless the APA got involved for some reason, but right now that's not anticipated. So then the actuarial services, do we budget conservatively at 550 like we've been doing, or do I look at something that's a little more average over the last 3 years? 400,000, 500,000. GRS is great. They are very responsive. They do a lot of stuff for us. I mean, they could do more for us if we ask them, I think, but I don't,
I believe, Mike, that the 23 number, the 523,023 was because that's when they did
an
the
experience study.
the full experience study, yeah, for demographic and economic. So they do economic about every year, but the demographic study they have to do every 5 years. So
And to be honest, the conservative approach is the numbers in there. We're probably facing the first tight state budget in several bienniums. So there may be a heavy lift on actuarial analysis, related to legislation, higher level scrutiny. So I'm good with that number. It's open for debate, obviously.
Are you good in both years or just in 27?
I mean, a lot of those bills kind of carry over from year to year, and I think the conservative approach is to set a number. We'll probably be way under in the second year, but the first year there's some variability that it's just hard to anticipate with that, again, first tight budget in several years or several biennium.
Right.
And the second year would actually be the 5th year and an experience study coming if we're going
That's a good
1,
point,
2,
yeah.
3, 4, 5.
Oh, it would be. Yeah.
So good to leave is what I'm hearing.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm okay there.
Okay. I can't find my highlighter button, so I'm going to skip that. Sorry. Medical reviewers. This is really outside of my realm of expertise, but I'd have to probably rely on Rebecca in lieu of Aaron not being here of what we anticipate. Our process, I think, has been a little bit streamlined by using MMRO, but I'm going to ask Rebecca if this number is anywhere close to where we should be.
I think it's our best guess for right now. We are going to go to RFP. I will tell you that we negotiated vigorously last time with them to get it to the numbers that we have. They really wanted it to be more. This is a very small group of people who can do this, but there are some competitors now. There weren't when we first picked MMRO in 2020, I believe. So I think that we'll have a little competition, but I suspect the amount will go up. I just don't know that for sure. We'll go to RFP and figure it out, but it will take effect July 1 of 27. So
would 1.6 be more comfortable?
probably for me, yes, that seems reasonable. We are coming under the 1.8, but right now they're 1.8, but we are under that. What we've seen is a drop in, I think this is correct. My memory, take this with a grain of salt. I think that we're experiencing a decrease in disabilities than what we had when we set up the contract to begin with, disability applications. So the number of cases has gone down. The price has gone up a little bit, but the number of cases have gone down a bit. We don't know. We can't pinpoint a reason for that, So we could see an increase again with that. But again, that goes back to Mike talking about for the budget purposes, we split it out for you guys so that we can really manage it better. But for the purposes of requesting biennial budget, it can kind of rearrange. We could spend more somewhere and less somewhere else. But 1.6 makes me more comfortable.
Well, I think that's defendable because if I remember right, the inflation factor in services is higher than products. Now that's, I'm sure, changing as soon as I say it, but that was the backdrop that I was thinking about.
Okay. The miscellaneous contract amount. This is, let me go to my notes over here for a minute. Again, I increased this based on the IT tech assessment. If we think that's going to happen in 26 and not carry over to 27, this can come down a lot. But let me tell you what's in here. If I find my notes quickly. Sorry. Miscellaneous, where are you? Oh, there they are. Okay. So we put our benchmarking studies in here. We had a strategic plan that was also in here. So I think we're also working on cleaning out some of our historical stuff at underground storage. So the budget amount for 26 was $1 million, and I had 550,000 for phase 1 and phase 2 and digital storage there. So that's where the million's coming from, and the benchmark studies from CEM. Sometimes the IT projects get moved around. So again, I put the 1.5 in here only if the IT assessment doesn't get done in 26. And again, the RFP hasn't been finalized yet, so they haven't began work. So I don't, unfortunately, I'm discussing with Rebecca here again.
I do not think that the tech assessment will complete in 26 because we had slated that to begin in July, and because the RFP process is still ongoing, we're looking at middle of September, 1st of October. So we're already a quarter behind on that. So I suspect some of it will slip into fiscal 27.
So the reason for this here is that if this $1 million doesn't get spent in 26, I got to spend it in 27 if they're doing the job that they're doing. And then, so I've just moved that to there. It could probably stay at $1 million because we'll likely spend some of it here and still have 500,000 or so left to spend in 27, plus the other projects that we typically do on an annual or every couple year type basis.
So that's your soft number.
Yeah.
To balance with.
And I can bring that back. I could get more clarification. I know the miscellaneous line items a headache, not only for you guys, but for me, because we need to clarify what's in there. So if you don't mind, I would maybe like to sharpen that a little bit with the specific projects we anticipate seeing in 27 and 28.
That's fine with me.
Perfect.
I have a question on your totals for 27 and 28. Oh,
Yeah.
We're not there yet. Sorry. Go ahead.
We're close, but this is Louisville office, and I think we were going to sign a lease this week. I don't know if that happened. And is this amount accurate? We had 105 and 206 in 2026. I'm sorry. I just carried over 100,000. Waiting for clarification.
Yeah, so that's the existing, that works for the existing lease, and then we need a little extra just in case there's something we got to fix. So that, I think that 100, Rebecca, you're closer to this than I.
I agree. I think the lease itself is right under 90. So that would give us a little bit of wiggle room if we had to do a little bit more. It's 80, 87, 88, something like that.
Okay.
Clarification for the dummy like me, is that the new investment office involved, or is this just existing?
Yes, sir. It's the new investment office in Louisville. Yes.
Okay, I thought that negotiation broke down.
Well, like all things, you have a problem, you restart. We're good. Steve's toured it with Rebecca and I. The investment team signed off, so we are moving forward, and it's a little premature because we don't have a signed lease, but facilities has assured us they will get it. So we're not in control of that process right now, but we are moving forward with a specific location.
Okay,
Well, congratulations to get to that point.
PPW, I don't anticipate our lease going up in the next couple of years unless someone knows something different than I do. Okay. EMARS, I'm waiting for COT and charges there, and then the IT budget, again, as you know, is one of the largest individual line items. It includes their contractors and all of the subscription renewals related to software that we have, our licenses, etc. So I need to probably touch base with them a little bit and make sure that number's good. So I would prefer to bring that back to you, unless you have anything else specific in there.
No, I think that's a good approach.
And then again, these are individual smaller line items. I was actually supposed to put travel at 235 for 2026, and I failed to do that. So I've put it here. And then just added an inflation factor for 28. We've been pretty low on travel overall. I think, continue to anticipate more investment team travel than we've seen, and that's why that number's there. And now I'm to that bottom number that I think Mr. O'Meara might have had a question about.
So have you been given that bottom number?
I have not. And so when I went back and looked at the last biennium, I was given that number by the budget office.
That's what I
So-
thought.
And so I asked them this morning if they give that number, and my individual that I'm working with there said that they typically don't, but she has all of the numbers and she would give that to me by noon. And I think I have an email from her. So I got to bring it down a little bit. She's given me 49,969, 69, 700. So I'm going to adjust that number to that number. So this is hot off the presses. 10/21 it came. So
So you got a $2 million haircut ahead of you.
well, that might give me that amount there. So not much of it's pretty much the same number as last time. That's what it is.
But
There's
with
no increase.
no, there is an increase because there's higher personnel. So that's interesting. So they kept the total frozen, but you increased your personnel. So we're supposed to cut everywhere else.
Well, I will ask that question to her for sure, but yeah, I will do a little bit of follow up. But so last year, what I presented to the board was a little presentation like this, and this was the number that they gave me, and this is what we submitted in KBUD. But then KBUD, the budget got cut by the legislature prior to approval, so we didn't get this 51.6 that we asked for. We ended up getting that 48 here and 49 here is what we got in the approved budget. So even though we asked for 51.6, which the budget office gave us as the number, we got less than that. So that's has the potential to happen as well, is we could get a haircut through the budget process.
Well, but Mike, I mean, we did have supplemental increases related to salary during the year, right? So that's not reflected in that original number.
Correct. So this number was the House Bill 1 approved budget, or House Bill 6, And this, I don't have the number that we got for the increased salaries yet. So
Yeah,
if
so
that comes,
just-
that may happen too. Yeah,
Just to be clear though, yeah, so that was that is the baseline, right? The beginning point. And then there were supplemental adjustments made as a result of the IT analysis personnel did, et cetera. So the ending budget number is probably more accurate to be the baseline, but there were adjustments made above that number.
correct. So in 25, we got $110,000. I haven't been given the amount that we got in 26, but obviously that amount that we got in 26 is not reflected in the baseline she just gave me. So
Yeah.
I got some questions for her, but that's okay.
I do
And
think
just the salary adjustment too, the baseline that happened beginning of fiscal. So that would be personnel 3%. Yeah. So there's adjustments that were made post that baseline. Yeah.
I do think it's an important just piece of the process for you guys to understand what, because they're not looking, they don't redline line items, they look at it in a group. They part of the haircut last biennial process was they looked at open positions, and instead of funding all of your open positions, they funded 5%, I think, which for us was one person. So there was a big decrease with that. And in tight budgets, those kind of maneuverings are more likely. So I think getting less is more likely than getting more than what you asked. So I say that to say a little padding doesn't hurt us, because we think, I anticipate it'll be less than what you asked for.
Yeah, and as Ryan said, it's a statewide tight budget session that we anticipate. So yeah, we could see some of that going down. And if that happens, we will reevaluate whether we fill all 284 of our
Right.
cap for sure.
That's where you have to go.
Yeah.
To get that level to meet it.
And our budget is all restricted funds. It is not general fund money. However, it usually gets the same restrictions that general fund money budgets get.
Okay, so for a management purpose, which is separate from the process of the budget office, so we have to be prepared to make some sort of turnover or open position assumptions to our personnel number, and then see what kind of detail cuts to manage by to come up with whatever the final number is. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah, and we will likely do that due to lapse, right? So there's additional personnel that were added to address certain problems, right? The hearing officer is a good example in the past. We've got some ideas in the future. So that, those unfilled new positions would just mean we can't do something new or fix a problem is really what it would mean. We would just not hire for those. And we think that would probably fix it. But we need to be good advocates for the number that we have. And that's why we're doing today, right?
Yes. Agreed. All right. So my takeaways from this discussion is to clarify hearing officers going forward, the C&K General Counsel, where we're going to stand with that. Get some detail on the miscellaneous special projects to justify the number that we put in there. Discuss with IT the computer IT software budget of 4 million or so, and ask a few more questions back to the budget office as to where was the IT assessment, the IT position increase, and what about the salary increase? Because that number of 49 is exactly as it is in 26. So I'd like to see some explanation of that. And any other things on the current biennium budget amounts.
That's enough.
So what I would like to do is find a time to meet again to discuss those things and likely sign off on the biennium budget so it can go to the KPPA board. If you think we need 2 meetings, that would make the next meeting need to happen sooner. If you think we can work through that in 1 meeting, and I'm not saying this meeting's done right now, I'm just saying for the biennium piece to get to the KPPA board on the 25th, I'd probably like to look at a meeting date that's suitable for the 2 trustees and the CEOs for sure.
Well, Mike, you need time to do your research and get some answers, as well as business planning. And the drop dead is presentation on the 25th. So is the week of the 15th, does that give you enough time to come back and have another meeting?
It does. And, you know, by Friday, the 19th, I probably need to have something to Sherry for board books, if not the 18th, but the 15th would work for me as well. I think that gives me plenty of time to do my research. I could probably even go to the 8th, the week of the 8th, but the 15th would be fine. It still gives us time to discuss. And if we didn't get something resolved, we could have a quick meeting later in that week if needed, but I would not anticipate that.
Well, Pruitt, I'm available the 12th, the 15th, the 16th. Do any of those work for you?
Let me look at my calendar. I'm once again traveling. I know that's shocking.
Enjoy. Just enjoy it.
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, let me look real quick at another one. The important one is the one my wife puts together, not mine.
So Mike, you're obviously critical in this. Do those dates work for you?
Currently, they're pretty wide open, so yes.
Okay.
Yeah, give me those dates again, if you would, please.
Friday, the 12th, Monday, the 15th, Tuesday, the 16th.
It appears those are okay. Let me. September. Yeah, those look okay. Yeah.
All
Mr.
right.
Owens, Mr. Chilton, are they okay for you?
Certainly. Thank you.
Was that a positive from you, John? Okay.
You're
Ron,
muted.
Your staff?
Yeah, they work for me. Very much so. Now, the boardroom, Sherry is going to have to confirm with me. But I think there is an ad hoc meeting on the 16th,
That's correct.
but I think the rest of it, the boardroom may be available.
You're correct.
Shall we talk 15 then? Monday, the 15th?
Sure.
That's good with me.
1 o'clock, good?
1 o'clock would be great.
1 o'clock's fine.
Yep, that works.
I'll get it scheduled for sure. Thank you.
Okay. Sherry, if you don't mind sharing the rest of the agenda, I know we jumped ahead to the next meeting, but I would like to be able to discuss any other budget item topics that we can address going forward. I know one of them may be the construction of the hybrid percentage is something that I want to look at with this group over the next couple months. But are there other budget topics that you would like to discuss for me to prepare for going forward?
I feel good where we are.
I may not have anything on the hybrid next meeting, but what I anticipate doing is the hybrid percentage is constructed using 6/30/2025 actuals will then get used in the hybrid percentage for 27. So if I get a chance to do that prior to the next meeting, I can at least give you some high level estimates of what that would be. If not, it would be the meeting following the KPPA meeting. We could get into the weeds of that hybrid percentage and how it's constructed and what it looks like and go from there.
Sounds good.
Works.
Okay. Again, I appreciate all your time, and Mr. Romero, I'll let you close out the meeting if you're so willing.
Absolutely. Well, that concludes the agenda. And since this is a special meeting, that will include the adjournment. So thank you, everyone, and all the work that went into getting all this information to us. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike.